Yo, party people in the place to be. What's good? It's number one Chief Rocker and Knicks Universe, your main man, Uncle Freezie. I'm joined by the man that is so smooth that he does not require a chaser. The Knicks historian himself, Anthony D. Sir, how are you? Still the real AD. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Uncle Freezie. Yeah, these intros are killing me. Yeah, I don't know. Is that a good thing to be a Knicks historian? I don't know. Is that a good thing?
I think it's a great thing. I think it's I think it's a great thing. Shout out to the chat that's up with us on a Sunday morning.
Absolutely. Salute to the chat once again. Start the journey.
Start the
journey. I guess we're smiling because we've gone into the halftime with the current Knicks.
Yeah.
Couple of all-stars. I don't know if Brunson, finally got the grace, got the nod by the powers that be. The funniest thing, look at this for a second. Look at popularity, okay, and what popularity can do for you, okay? And I didn't think about this till just now, but that's how we do.
Yeah.
Right? The NBA was going to move heaven and earth to get Jeremy Lin into the All-Star game. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Right? They were going to move heaven and earth, make special provisions because he didn't have enough games or whatever. But he was so popular.
Yeah.
That season with the Asian, contingent.
Yeah.
That all of a sudden was having, basketball parties, people who never played basketball before, or thought about basketball before, because Jeremy Lin was the hottest thing since a good plate of macaroni and cheese.
Bam.
They were gonna do all of this, but yet still, look at the flip side. You have Brunson in the Knick uniform, same uniform, who's having an all-time first half point guard season in this uniform, and the powers that be, the
like nah, we good.
Nah, we good.
Yeah.
Let's put Drew Holiday in the All-Star.
Yeah, or somebody. Yeah.
See what I'm saying? That's what popularity does for you.
Right.
Okay, and they'll deny this, but this is on the record. They was actually trying to do this.
Yeah.
Find a way to make Jeremy Lin an All-Star.
Yeah.
Because it would have given him that much more buzz, that much more of an international audience, and for those Asian folks that reside in the United States, that much more of an Asian market.
Linsanity was wild.
Linsanity was wild.
And it's not because he had an all-time great scoring streak, because he wasn't averaging 40 a game.
No.
This dude was averaging 23 a game?
But he had some big games against, I think he had a big game against Kobe. He had a big game against Deron Williams.
Yeah.
He had an absolute game against Toronto. Yes, the game against Toronto.
Yeah.
Where he absolutely, in the first half, Calderon is giving it to the Knicks. Jose Calderon, I remember that game like yesterday. Jose Calderon in the first half of that game up in Toronto was giving it to the Knicks, and Linsanity had a contingent that you could see, and the cameras made sure they picked them up. That everything that they did, and all of a sudden in the second half, like that dude ate his spinach. And him and Iman Shumpert, because Shumpert was a part of that as well.
Yes.
Shumpert was defending.
And Landry Fields.
Right, because Shumpert locked up Calderon.
Yep.
He was locking up their guards, right? And, that's a play we've never really touched on, Iman Shumpert. But Shumpert was locking up their guards, and Lin was just pouring it on, plus the game winner, the 3-dagger.
Yeah.
The 3-dagger.
I like to call it the mellow 3. Remember the dribble, the little crab dribble, and step into the 3. That
he
every
walked
time
he walked him down slowly from the half court line, and you knew he was going to shoot it. I'm like, dude, I can't remember who was defending him. I'm like, dude, you think he's passing the ball to anybody else? You think he's passing the ball to
It was
anybody
Calderon,
else?
right?
Was it Calderon? I don't think they'd have been that crazy to put Calderon.
Because the look on his face when Lynn got the shot, not when Lynn made the shot, the look on his face when Lynn took the shot, the dude was defeated instantly. Because he knew Lynn was going to make it, bro.
Yeah.
He knew about Lynn. As soon as the shot went up, all the Raptors were like, oh.
It was one of those sprinkled dust moments, magic dust moments in Knicks history and in New York history, because it's moments like that from there. I mean, it was like, and here's the flip side of that. Here's the bad of that. And we got to bring back the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
Right. And Knicks fans were showing Melo the door.
Yes.
Don't let the door hit you on your way out, buddy.
Yep.
His own teammates were giving off the record, oh, well, the offense is moving a lot better, since he's been gone.
We get to touch it.
Yep. Da-da-da-da.
Yep.
Tyson Chandler's having a resurgence. He's catching every lob that there is.
Yes. Because we were down on Tyson Chandler at that moment, too.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Tyson Chandler is offensive rebounding.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's catching lobs from Jeremy Lin.
They're doing that pick and roll. And if there's ever a player that was meant for the pick and roll, it was Jeremy Lin.
Yes.
A healthy Jeremy Lin.
Yes.
He was meant for that pick and roll.
Yep.
Because defenders they didn't realize that, one, he was that quick in a short space.
Yep.
And two, he could bang it on you.
Yes. And three, for the way he looked in the face, Jeremy Lin was a big guard. When you looked at him in interviews, you were thinking like, maybe he's 6'1". No, this dude's like 6'4".
Yeah, he's just about 6'4". Maybe he's just maybe like 6'3" and a half, or with the sneakers 6'3", on, whatever. Yeah. Yeah,
6'3", 6'4".
Yeah.
But he can 6'3", 6'4" can jump. Very smart decision maker.
Yeah.
Bro,
he was meant for the pick and roll. But like we said, his rise was escorting meteoric, and it was escorting Melo out the door. Yeah. Because you had comparisons, I think it was NBA Tonight or whatever, to Kenny Smith's credit, they showed a 7-game comparison between him and Walt Frazier.
Right.
And Kenny Smith was like, yo, if you ever compare this man to Walt Frazier again, I will walk off this set.
Yes.
Okay, I will walk off this set. This man has had 7 games.
7.
And you want to compare it to a dude that was on a team that
who had 7 years of being the best point guard in the NBA.
Yeah, that was a team of the decade.
Yeah.
But
Clyde Frazier had 7 straight years where if he was not the best point guard in the NBA, he was hurt. And I'm talking about the JoJo White era.
Right.
I'm talking about the end of Oscar Robertson's career.
Right. And that's who they were comparing, Jeremy. That's what the Jeremy Lin hysteria did.
Yeah.
Not seeing that here's a young man for all his good. Once he got hurt, he protected home plate. Once he got hurt that season, because remember, all of this, you would think he was here for years.
Yeah, no.
He was here for I think 80% of the season.
Yeah.
One.
Remember, he was a 2-day contract guy.
Right. He was the 2-day, and
I mean, I'm sorry, the 10-day,
the
10-day
10
contract.
day, and the 10-day went from another 10-day to another 10-day.
And on that third 10-day, the Knicks couldn't keep him. They had to either sign them to a contract
Because everybody else was injured.
Oh yeah, but back then the 10-day contract rule was like once you get a certain number of 10-day contracts, you have to sign them to a NBA contract,
Right.
A real one,
A minimum.
right?
You got to give
Right,
them a minimum. You got to give them
right,
at least a minimum.
right, right. And
And
they were at the end of it.
yeah, and the minimum came right at his first game, his first start.
Yeah, yeah.
And to his credit, because a lot of people, and we've touched on this before, these lights are too bright.
Yeah.
You know, and to his credit, when the lights were on, no matter for how long a period, he stepped up to the plate. They weren't too bright for him.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the line, and we were having this off-air conversation. Yes, fans, me and Freezie talked for 2 hours. Just off air, shooting the shit. Yeah. Right? We had this off-air conversation. Right. When it came down to it, he backdoored the Knicks.
Right.
And that's a point that when we were talking off the air, that another podcaster, when they were interviewing him and they were so happy to have him and feel good and the new Linsanity video and it was the anniversary, they danced around that point.
Yeah.
They danced around the exit and why there was an exit.
Right.
He had a chance to set the record straight, and you would have thought that he wasn't there, like it wasn't him.
Right.
So it was so ugly with the Garden. They refused to show any of his games for like 10 years.
Yep. Yep.
Dolan was like, nah, we good. And remember, the Jeremy Lin games were the highest rated games in Madison Square Garden Knicks history.
Yeah.
That's the 94 finals. That's 99. Right? Of course, it takes the 70s because TV and computing numbers wasn't like that back then. But think about it. All of those games, the Jeremy Lin games were the highest rated games, and the Knicks were like, we're done with this dude.
Yep.
It's like he never was here.
Yep.
Even with the Linsanity new video and whatever, you could tell me about this, or maybe someone in the chat can drop this. Did the Knicks even acknowledge it? Did they have him come to the Garden?
Bro, I don't think so.
Right? I don't think so, right? I didn't hear, I know it was from his people because they were marketing the video and, the anniversary and blah, 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 blah. But I don't remember the Knicks putting out anything or inviting him, or announcing that he's going to come, you know how they have anniversaries, like this is what, 23? Right. So they're going to do something for 73.
Right.
At some point, right?
Right. But it's this week coming up.
It's this week coming up, right? Okay. Right. So, but I don't remember them saying anything like, it's like they still have feelings about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but the thing about Linsanity, just real quick, man, and the way the Knicks organization handles stuff. So for one, Linsanity and the exit is not all Jeremy Lin's fault. Whoa. The Garden has a way of botching shit up. You know what I'm saying? Historically, Friday night we talked about the Knicks not trade for Norm Nixon when the Lakers were trying to give us Norm Nixon, and we like, nah, we good. We like Darryl Walker. How the hell do you like Darryl Walker over Norm Nixon, a proven all-star? Dude that had been to the finals. We like, nah. We like Darryl Walker so much, we gonna draft him over Clyde Drexler.
But here's the
Right.
difference with that, though.
But
Freezy.
let me just finish this one thing
All
just
right.
real quick. Just let me
Go
finish.
ahead.
Just one thing real quick. Bernard King is a two-time All-Star with the Knicks, collapses to the floor with a knee injury, right? The guard, instead of saying, listen, let's be patient with King. Let's be patient with him and let him work his way back from this thing, regardless how long it takes. Yeah, let's move on. Dude blew out his knee. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The Rod Strickland thing, the Rod Strickland trade had to happen. Rod Strickland was getting into too much trouble off the court for him to stay here. They had already been through a Michael Ray Richardson situation. They had already been dealing with the Bernard King alcoholism thing. Bernard King got it under control here in New York, but he was not picture perfect when he got here. Let's just say it like that. I don't want to get into details, and I'm not trying to sully that man's name, but he got here as one thing and self-corrected and got better while he was here. And when he got better, when he got his personal life in order, by that time, the Knicks was like with Bernard King, right? The thing with Linsanity is this. I don't believe Jeremy Lin ever wanted to leave New York, right? I think Linsanity was a thing about a guy that had been getting cut by NBA teams constantly, finally got his chance to prove himself and only wanted to secure his NBA future. And you can't blame him for that because this shot with the Knicks was his very last and final shot at anything, right? It's either because mind you, Jeremy Lin was averaging about 5 points a game with the Knicks. They put him in for like 2 minutes and he'll get you. He was doing the Alonzo Trier. You put him in for a minute, he'll score 5 points, right? He was doing that in his limited minutes, right? The Knicks, however, are like, nah, it's the Knicks, man. Go out. We don't know what your value is. Go out and see what your value is, and then let us match it. But if you're the Knicks and you hadn't had a point guard since, how are you going to let a point guard walk out the door and test the market? The Knicks could have easily extended him before we even get to that. But they didn't. They let him get the Garden botched it up, basically, is what I'm getting at. And we're notorious for it. All right, I'm through.
I'm not here to take up for the Garden, Freezy. We put the Garden to the stake day in, day out. Okay. But bad business is bad business, Freezy. Okay. Remember this. Once he left New York, it seemed like everything for him stopped.
Okay.
Okay. The Volvo deal and stuff like that was when he was here.
Right.
In New York.
That was quick too, by the way. You like, damn, he got a Volvo deal already? That was fast, right?
Volvo ain't seen the NBA since.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
He comes in, everything that was in the works for him ceased.
Right.
His career took a whole nother trajectory once he left New York. And maybe that was just, his journey, his destiny. But to say that The Knicks at that time botched it because of other botch maneuvers. It's easy to make that correlation because they're the Knicks. They're the Knicks.
Right.
But
Okay.
that right there wasn't fair because they gave him his shot. You understand what I'm saying? But before anything else, the Knicks gave him his shot. You know, you could say well they didn't believe him or they believed in him out of necessity. Whatever.
Right.
Their name is still on the paycheck.
Right.
See what I'm saying? And back again with the Melo thing, they had this meeting with him, Melo, and Woody.
Right.
Where they had this, how they were going to work things out and and it seemed like everything was fine because they were reporting that weekend leading into that Friday, the Knicks and Jeremy Lin have come to a contract agreement. Somehow, some way, I believe, if the story's, if I remember correctly, they're all in Vegas. Somehow, some way, the Houston contingency swoops in, led by Big Chief Yao Ming.
Yeah.
And Monday morning, it was a whole different story.
What you saying? Players recruit each other?
Oh,
I've never heard such a thing in my life. I don't even know where you're going with this.
Oh,
but NBA players are recruiting each other to other cities.
Big Chief Yao Ming swoops in with the Houston contingency, and like I said, Monday morning it was a different story. He was signing in Houston,
right?
And the Knicks never forgave him for that. And you know what? Time heals wounds, so maybe 10 years is not enough time for the Garden.
What would the Knicks have a bad relationship with former players? I would never have guessed.
Well, this is where for Dolan and their PR people, they'd have had a nice opportunity to tie this in with the anniversary coming up for 73 and so forth.
Okay.
And to heal wounds and, because it's business. The Knicks have done bad business to other people. Right? That's how they got Morris.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? That's how they lost Mitchell.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they've done bad business. But to have this thing, especially someone who didn't, he didn't have an altercation with Dolan in the Garden and so forth and so forth. You only made money. Keep it a buck. Okay. They only made money with Jeremy Lin.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Right. Whatever they paid him that season, which was league minimum, is his contract and exposure and ratings for the Knicks, gazillion, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and so can we just paint the background, the environment pre-Linsanity? The Knicks were
it's Melo. Melo just arrived 6 months prior.
Right, but the Knicks also were floundering. Point guard play was abysmal.
Yes.
Right.
But they just came off the playoffs.
Right. But what I'm saying, so they just came off of that, but point guard play was abysmal. Mike D'Antoni and Dan D'Antoni tells the story that the team had no energy. The team was flat. The team had a star that was so big that the others were just like going out. It was work to them.
They didn't know how to see. The thing is, they didn't know how to use Melo, or better yet, they didn't have the right cast of people with him.
Yeah.
You see,
yeah.
Once Billups got hurt, and then he leaves, and then what's my man? Oh my God, Byron Davis The last bit of Byron Davis, he gets hurt.
Yeah.
You know, Tony Douglas wasn't a real point guard. Right?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And you got a broken down Bibby.
Yep.
You know, you're not doing right by your Ferrari. Your 26-year-old Ferrari. You have a power forward who injures himself in the playoffs.
Yep.
Multiple times.
Yep.
But we're just talking about that first year.
Yep.
How he injures himself? Dunking during practice in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Hurts his back.
Yep.
And Melo has to carry all of this.
And so I don't want to knock Melo, but my memory serves me is this. Melo was out. Remember Melo was out, right? The Celtics washed the Knicks. I'm gonna see. I think it was a blowout, but just for context, I'm gonna see if I can. Okay, so they don't wash the Knicks. The Celtics beat the Knicks in overtime, 115-111. But Jeremy Lin comes into that game in Boston. I think that was a Friday night. It seems like that was a Friday. Okay, that was a Sunday. So that was a Sunday.
Right.
That was a Sunday, right? Oh, wait. Let me get it right. Because I think it was a Friday night. Yeah. So the Celtics beat the Knicks, right? That Friday night, Jeremy Lin comes in and jacks up some shots, right? Going down swinging. Basically, what I'm saying to everybody is Lin was going down swinging. Parazugga, thank you for the generous contribution. Parazugga says Lin was gutless once he built that quick fame run. Okay. And Queen B says salute. I'm a dispute that, right? I only not for the sake of arguing. I don't want to.
It is fair.
I don't want to dispute it for the sake of arguing.
Because he never explained, and he had an opportunity to explain. Even look at this for a second. Even KP, right?
Okay.
Look when KP left here. London Bridge didn't burn as much as when KP left here. Okay. Look at KP the other day, multiple times when they played the Washington like twice, multiple interviews where he speaks in not necessarily sorrow, but he recognizes where he went wrong.
Right. Okay.
See what I'm saying? And you could understand that because young people go wrong every day. That's what young people do.
People make mistakes.
Yes.
Every day.
It's a part of life. It's a part of growing up. But at least as a mature man, he's able to say, I was listening to the wrong people, da 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 da. Lynn never did that.
But there's no context to that. See, the thing about that is Kristaps Porzingis was a top 4 pick on a guaranteed salary. Right? Jeremy Lin was the opposite of that. Jeremy Lin was a dude brought in off the street. He didn't look like any of the other guards that played his position. Right? Non-standard, right? So off rip, we don't think it's going to work because it's a non-standard look, right? What I'm saying to you is Lin made these decisions based on his NBA mortality, not based off of him high-stepping the Knicks. The dude made these decisions solely based on trying to secure a longer NBA career.
He didn't get a bigger bag in Houston, Freezie.
Right.
With Houston, if I remember correctly.
But he got a guaranteed one.
No, if I remember it correctly, and you look at this or whatever, Houston threw a poison pill in there. Like in this first year or second year or something like that the Knicks couldn't contractually compete with.
Right. But that's their fault.
So but it's NBA rules. See what I'm saying? So it's not like the Knicks weren't trying to sign him. It's almost like the same thing when Cleveland lost the power forward to what's his name from out of Kentucky, not Pfizer. Oh dear God, he goes to Utah. Cleveland,
you know, you talking about the power forward out of Duke,
right?
You
Okay,
talking about Carlos Boozer.
Boozer. Remember, he's a
Right.
second round pick. Cleveland thinks they're doing right by him by letting him out of the deal and so forth, and he has a window. He has like a 24-hour window. What does his agent do? His agent gets on the phone with Utah.
Right. That's
Utah,
what agents
are supposed to do, right?
Right.
Utah has a 7-year deal already.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, LeBron.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, Cleveland.
But again, if Cleveland would have just did this before that window, we would never be having this Carlos Boozer conversation.
Yeah, but you don't. Here's the thing, Uncle Freezie. It's easy to say that. It's easy to say if Cleveland had just gave him the money in season, you know, we'd have never came to that. But he had never shown that kind of long-term potential up until LeBron arrived. Remember, he's there before LeBron.
Okay.
So if you're Cleveland, you're looking at LeBron. Everything is LeBron.
AD,
and
I understand where you're going. Here's how I could put it in simple terms, though. Cut the check.
Okay. That's fair.
Cut the check.
It's fair. Okay. It's fair.
That's all you have to do. If you because it's the same thing we could say about the Dallas Mavericks and Jalen Brunson. All Dallas had to do
was cut the check.
Was cut the check. If you cut the check, none of the back half of this conversation even matters. Cut the check.
Okay.
It's the same. The thing with Lynn is the reason it's not a poison pill. All Houston did was front load the money. They put most of the money in the first year, and the Knicks didn't have the salary cap space.
Right.
Because they had
it was something like that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we call it a poison pill, but all it was a front loaded contract with Lynn.
Right.
We get a lot of the money up front, and to Lynn's credit, he like, yo, let me get this money up front in case I get cut. Because when I look around, I don't see other Asian point guards in the NBA.
But that was short money, Freezie.
Right. Okay.
It was short money because, like I said, all of the opportunities and stuff, once he went to Houston, it stopped. All of that, I'm not in his camp. You're not in his camp, so we don't know the literal whatever he might have had in international whatever. Okay. And for however long, but his American buzz.
Yeah, and we're talking about NBA contract. We're not talking about
yes,
stuff off the floor.
His American buzz.
Yeah.
Because that buzz emanated from New York. That's just the facts. And maybe he didn't want, because remember this. His really first true test in an NBA uniform to me is the Miami game.
Right.
In Miami, where he was healthy, Stoudemire was healthy, Melo was healthy.
Yeah.
These are like some of the few games we talk about, the games that the Nets didn't play together. I don't think these guys played 20 games together.
Right.
But this is one of the few times that they're playing together.
Right.
The first 2 possessions, Chalmers rips him. He can't bring the ball up.
Right.
LeBron jumps out there. They made it a point. It was like how the Bulls did Kukoc the first time they saw him. They made it a point to end or put a wreckage to this Linsanity thing.
Right.
And then shortly after that, the knee and blah, 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 blah. And
AD, if you don't mind, because I think that's a false narrative, right? But listen, but listen, but
Is it
listen.
not facts? Is it not
No,
facts?
no. Hear me out. Hear me out on this. Jeremy Lin played a terrible game, but the Knicks played a terrible game. But Lynn takes all the blunt of it. Mind you, our star, do you know what our star's number looked like in that game?
Our star,
Do you remember
we've
our
we
star? The
we've
dude that
already said our star was being ushered out of town. Who cares what the star's numbers was?
Nah,
The
but he
people
is
didn't
the
appreciate
star.
the star anyway.
But let me okay, all
The
right.
people didn't
So
appreciate the star anyway. They were ushering him out of town.
right, so Carmelo Anthony in that game played 35 minutes. He was 7 of 20. 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 4 personal fouls. He was a negative 15 in the plus minus for 19 points. He took 20 shots and scored 19 points.
Yes, he did.
Amari Stoudemire played 30 minutes in that game. Amari Stoudemire was 4 of 7 with 5 rebounds. Amari Stoudemire, 30 minutes, had 5 rebounds and scored 13 points.
Everybody had a bad game.
Everybody and the dude, the bad game killer, the dude when your team is having a bad game, the dude that always has a good game in chaos, J.R. Smith. Your team could be losing by 30. J.R. Smith finds a way to score 27, right? In this game, J.R. Smith 5 of 11, 2 for 5 from 3 for 14 points. Steve Novak took 5 shots, right? He was 4 of 5 from 3 for 12 points, right? In that game that you mentioned, because Jeremy Lin, in that game had 8 turnovers. 8 of them. They put the clamps on Lin. He was a disaster. He's 1 of 11. He was terrible. But he was not the only one that was terrible in that game. And what happened is since that was a Sunday afternoon primetime game on ABC, what happens is we looked at Lin turning over the ball 8 times and think it was all Lin's fault. But Jeremy Lin was not the only player on that team that had a bad game in that game.
I'm sorry, I had to put my violin down while you were crying. Of
course, because the thing is,
the thing is, for Jeremy Lin.
I'm sorry. I said that was a Sunday game. It wasn't. It was a Thursday game.
Don't cry for me.
That was a Thursday. That was Thursday. February 23rd. So it wasn't a Sunday game. I think I might have. So I'm wrong on that. But there was a game I remember the Heat just roasted the Knicks.
Parrish called it earlier when it got hot and the chips. You know, for someone that was thriving in the light, when it got hot and the chips were pushed to the middle, he folded. He didn't want this.
Okay. And that was against the Heatles, right? That was against the Heatles?
It don't matter who it was. Remember this, Freezie. When he was injured and they asked him like how injured he was or whatever, he said he was like 80%. Right? He was like 80%, and we were going into the playoffs and we needed him. Right? We all hands on deck. He was like 80%. Freezie. And through the course of an NBA season, when you come to the end of the season, nobody's 100%, Freezie.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
But to your point, he made a business decision that he wasn't going to be there for his team at 80%.
So these parts are separate. I wanted to separate these things. Now the part in the playoffs thing, I agree with you. I agree with you on that part. But if you're talking about after all this stuff is over, after the season, all the Knicks had to do was offer him the bread and he would have stayed.
Remember, he gets a playoff share for just being on the roster.
Okay. Right.
While he sat his ass on the sideline.
So did Baron Davis.
At 80%.
Yeah.
Baron Davis was hurt. Baron Davis was through.
No. Before Baron Davis got hurt, Baron Davis was fat.
But
let's not
but
get it twisted.
no. He came here fat.
Yeah, he came
But
here
Baron
fat
Davis doesn't get to the playoff. But remember, Baron Davis gets hurt early.
and
We're
late.
talking about two different things here, Freezie. Jeremy Lin, and don't get me wrong, you got to be in that situation to make that decision,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So we're going from the opposite side. But he took that short money. He took it several times. He made the decision several times. He made it in season not to come back because what? He was going into the off season.
Right.
You can't win with a player like that.
And can I bring up another thing real quick, just to throw another dart at Carmelo? You remember when Carmelo Anthony came back? Remember the Knicks lost 6 straight when Melo came back? Remember that?
Yeah.
All we had to do was just because Linsanity. My memory serves me. Linsanity was never just about Jeremy Lin.
Oh,
It was about the team trying to play together. It was about them stupid pregame handshakes that him and Landry Fields were doing pregame. It was about Amari Stoudemire finally feeling like he was a part of the offense again. You know what I'm saying? It was about Tyson Chandler being motivated to play NBA basketball now that he had a point guard that could get him the ball. It was about a rejuvenation. It was about the Linsanity energy, right? It wasn't like Linsanity came here and scored 50 points by himself, was a scoring machine. It was about how he was incorporating the rest of the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? It was that big Knick energy. It was not because before that it was mellow energy.
Okay. I'm gonna put to bed this Linsanity topic right now. Okay. Take a look at Carmelo Anthony's numbers, his first 3 seasons here, Freezie, in March and in April. Okay. His first season here before Linsanity arrived, Amari Stoudemire played 3/4 of a season. Down the stretch, he's not even playing. He's hurt.
Yeah.
Melo drags the team to its first playoff since that first season of Marbury. 1. Going into the second season now with Linsanity, like we already stated, Linsanity pulls a me over the team, right? He's on the sideline. Melo again has to drag the team to the playoffs.
And I'm sorry. Was Carmelo Anthony a top 3 NBA pick? Because for some reason you keep
Because for some reason
we keep confusing
How's
a
that a point?
dude, but you keep confusing a dude that was on the scrap heap that took advantage of an opportunity and was a team player versus a dude that was supposed to do it.
Yes, he's supposed to do that, but let's not take it for granted.
I'm not taking
it for granted
No.
because Melo wasn't supposed to come here and do all the legwork by himself.
AD, I'm not taking it for granted. What I'm saying,
of course you are.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is Carmelo Anthony at the time we felt like was a generational talent. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Was a generational scorer, right? So the fact that he could score at a generational type level was not only what we expected, but at times it was otherworldly impressive. But like Carmelo Anthony against the Bulls, the step up 3 over Taj Gibson, that's one of them guard moments where it just when you saw it live, you were thinking. When I saw it live, I was thinking Carmelo Anthony might be a top 5 Knick of all time when I saw that play. Right now, the years go by, I don't know if Melo's a top 5 Knick of all time.
Freezie.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's not even the argument, Freezie. See what I'm saying? Like I said, look at his first 3 seasons here. This is in the beginning of his prime years, when the money was on the line in March and April. His numbers are staggering.
Okay.
Without help, without consistent help.
What numbers are staggering? Or
his overall numbers are staggering.
Wait. Is it just his scoring, or is he averaging double-digit rebounds? Is he averaging?
No, he's averaging between.
Is he averaging 2 blocks?
He's averaging between 8-9 rebounds. His assists are up. His 3-point, because the one thing that D'Antoni did for him was to make him realize that he had a 3-point shot, and he should be shooting more threes.
Yep.
Right. So his 3-point percentage and his 3-point makes and misses, all of that are up.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? And he is giving it his all with
on offense.
Subpar talent.
On offense.
We never called Melo a two-way player.
Right.
That's not the argument.
Right.
Okay. We never called Iceman Gerving a two-way player.
Okay.
This is what he does. Okay. We never said that. And he dragged his team during those early years when guys were falling off, when guys refused to play because what? They were looking for their check. That's the facts. Lynn was looking for his check, period.
Right.
Melo moved, and I hate keep going over this argument. Melo moved heaven and earth to get here.
What year was this that we mentioned?
Melo's first year is what, 2011 or 12?
2011, February 2011, right? What I'm saying is that year that you're talking about is that you're talking about the Knicks tape year.
They're all Knicks tape years. Good God.
Yeah, because Melo only had as a Knick, Melo only had what, 2 seasons of 27 plus per game scoring.
Like I said, look, no. Melo also has a 29-point game
season. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for that 29-point season.
That's the year he got the lone MVP vote when the Knicks won 54 games.
That's the Knicks tape year. Yeah. He averaged 28.7, 29. Yep, you're right. Yeah.
So, and that might have been the best team. Not might have been. That was the best team that they had around him, which they then, we know what it was. But this thing that, like, I don't know how we got here where we're throwing darts at Carmelo Anthony from a franchise that failed him. He didn't fail the franchise; they failed him.
I'm not throwing darts at Melo. What I'm saying is there is a such thing as the hero and the underdog. The reason why I like Jalen Brunson's season this season is because Jalen Brunson is the underdog that's overachieving, and Linsanity is the underdog that's overachieving.
You do realize that Jalen Brunson bust Donovan Mitchell ass last year in the playoffs, right?
Right. But
you do realize that, right?
Right. But what I'm saying is too, with Linsanity, you saw the sparks of Jeremy Lin being a good NBA player before he stepped out against the New Jersey Nets or Brooklyn Nets or whoever they were at the time.
But Freezie, when you arrive, Freezie, it doesn't matter how you got here, my guy. It doesn't matter if you got here in the cab. It don't matter. What's the name of that song? It don't matter if you got here in a plane, a train, or bus, whatever. It don't matter how you got here. It don't matter.
Yeah, get here if you can.
Get here if you can.
And
when you're here, all that matters from here, the clock is on. What do you do when you get here?
Right. But AD, how many people have gotten there and have done nothing? You feel me? Don't make me bring up Henry Ellenson and Michael Beasley and Derek Williams and Quincy Acey again. We gonna go down this road again?
There's so many.
And Torrey Murray. Do we need to? I mean,
You see me, Freezy. This is one of the things that I hold against LeBron, right? It's that there's a throne here. You understand? There's a throne here without a king. And it's been that way. You could say that Melo occupied it for a second, maybe because of who he was as a player and the status, whatever. But I mean, that Ewing place, that Frazier place, that those guys that
those dudes are top 6 picks in their draft, right?
Facts, but that can carry. You know what I mean? That when the team is right, that if you build it, they will come. If the team is right, it's going to take you a lot further than you ever would have. We already mentioned Jeremy Lin. Okay. You see, if he had come here, Mark Messier.
Yep.
And beyond.
Mike Gardner, Brian Leach. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And beyond.
Yeah.
That Jordan GOAT conversation with the fan base behind them to drown out that noise? What?
Right. AD, what I'm getting at with the Linsanity thing, bro, is I apologize for not being able to make my point more clear. Is when you're constantly being cut. Every time you go to a squad, you get cut. You go to a squad, you outplay the other players, you get cut. At some point, you're thinking about your NBA mortality over a promise of the future. Right?
Yeah,
how many times did Jeremy Lin get promised by the Golden State Warriors that he was going to be part of the future?
It don't matter. I don't need you.
It does matter.
It doesn't matter to me as the organization. I don't need you. If I'm trying to win, Freezy, you see, this is one of the reasons how that you really have to have a superstar to help everything else level out, right? Okay. Because if I got a player like that at the end of the bench who's thinking about, not thinking about, well, if I do good, I'll get rewarded. Versus, I've done good, I've gotten rewarded, I'm good.
AD, okay. All right.
You see what I'm saying? He's already leveled out.
AD, that Boston Celtic game, the very beginning of Linsanity, right? Let me tell you who the Knicks played in that Celtics game. At the very beginning of Linsanity, when D'Antoni looked at the end of the bench and was looking for Clyde Frazier to walk through the door.
This was Walker. I used to like Walker too.
Bill Walker. You know who the starting point guard that night was?
Bill Walker was a Skywalker, yo. I remember him dunking on KG.
Yeah. But the starting point guard that night was Amon Shumpert, bro. Yeah. Amon Shumpert. Yeah. And his backcourt mate was Landry Fields.
Yeah.
And they only played 2 guys off the bench the whole game. Bill Walker and Nick's favorite, Jarrett Jeffries.
Oh gosh, Jarrett Jeffries.
He's
the only NBA player I've ever seen that got worse the closer he got to the rim. I'd never seen anything like that ever in my life.
Some would say RJ Barrett does that. But anyway, I ain't gonna have that conversation. But the thing is, AD, I'm saying is when you're constantly getting cut and not give it a shot, get cut, not give a shot. It's the reason why the Linsanity story is one of the greatest stories in Knicks history. Is because other teams would bring him up and cut him, despite what he showed on the floor. They would say they didn't give him a chance because he wasn't a 6'4" black inner city kid from a blue blood playing point with uber athleticism. Right? He was a dude that just was productive everywhere he went and didn't get a shot. The Knicks gave him a shot. He took advantage of it. Both sides reap the reward of Linsanity now. Let's not because the Knicks before Linsanity, I'm gonna point out their record before Linsanity, right?
You want us to cry? I mean, God, I saw the first documentary, right?
Right.
And here's the thing. People want to play the race card when it benefits them. Okay? When it benefits their agenda, when it benefits, the music for the background theme. You know what I mean? Like here he was, absolutely. I think he was Mr. California.
Yep. High school basketball
that.
Twice.
Yeah, he was a dominant ball player.
Right.
And the running.
How many D1 offers he got?
Was it none?
Zero?
None.
He attended Harvard University under Tommy Amica. Yep.
So we should feel bad for you because you went to Harvard.
Right. Usually, California Mr. Basketball goes to schools like
Hold on a second, Freezie. Even if you sucked at basketball, you've gone to Harvard. Okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna help you out. Your life, you're fine.
Yeah, you have a Harvard education. It's the same school. Right.
So I'm not gonna feel bad for you that you had to go to Harvard as your backup. You couldn't go to St. John's.
Yeah.
You couldn't go to Georgetown.
Right. Well, first of all, let's leave St. John's out of this. St. John's is not a basketball school. St. John's is not a basketball school. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Let's leave St. John's out of this.
I need you to watch your mouth right there, buddy.
St. John's ain't put out a good
Chris Mullen.
Yeah, bro, come on, man.
Walter Berry.
Come on, bro. We talk about the 80s again.
Bill Wennington.
Again, we talk about the 80s, bro.
Malik Sealy.
We talk about the 80s? Okay.
Porter.
Okay.
Boo Harvey.
We talk about the 80s, right?
Ron Artest.
Yeah.
I can go on.
Yeah. I have a homeboy that went to a school in Vegas. He was like, yo, man, I have my undergrad and my master's from UNLV. So UNLV ain't put out a good basketball player since Anthony Bennett. Wow. Anthony Bennett was the last good player UNLV put out.
Yeah.
Right. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me about basketball at St. John's or Syracuse.
Well, it's not. Or
Connecticut.
But Freezie, here's the thing, Here's the thing with that. As you're going, I don't know why you're going down this line, because college basketball has changed.
Yes.
The landscape has changed.
Yes.
The conferences have changed. The conferences, I can't even identify teams that I used to know in those conferences because they've all jumped, ended conferences, went for the money here, went for the money there, whatever.
Right.
So that's why that's one of the major reasons why the programs are not what they were. Plus, guys are not staying 2 years.
Man.
Your major guys are not staying 2 years. They've won, maybe.
They
one and done.
Somebody got a baby in the background.
One and done. And what? Am I not telling the truth?
Somebody got a baby crying in the background.
But if I'm not factual, tell me I'm not factual.
No. Basically, what happened is the Big East fell off and the conference dissolved.
Well, the Big East fell off for a lot of reasons. You know what I'm saying?
Lack of talent.
Not just lack of talent, but lack of vision.
Lack of talent, bro. After the 96 draft, after Allen Iverson and Ray Allen and Kerry Kittles left the Big East started on a steep decline that they could never recover from. Don't talk to me about Hakeem Warwick and Eton Thomas. I mean, I don't get it.
Did Hakeem Warwick not play on the biggest stage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did Eton Thomas not play on the biggest stage? Were they not top recruits? Let's not do that. Let's not do that. College basketball changed, Freezie.
All I'm saying is let's not act like St. John's is somebody.
They are somebody.
No, St. John's
You know,
is
it's
right.
not easy. It's not easy to get to the Final Four. Plus, St. John's won that. St. John's has a national championship.
When?
It's not. It's. They have a what's the name?
When? The NIT?
Not. Yeah, they have an NIT national championship. Yes, they do.
That what year was that? 1958?
I think 1992. I think or 93.
No, not 90,
With Jason
no.
Williams. Look it up. I guarantee you.
Okay.
I guarantee you.
Okay.
I'm a St. John's fan. I can tell you.
Yeah, and I hear the same.
It was a year they accepted the NIT invitation, right?
Jason Williams.
No, not Jason Williams. Yeah, Jason Williams with the Nets. He played with St. John's.
I know Jason Williams.
Yeah, he was on that team that won that. They accepted. For those of you who don't remember, the NIT at one point in time was as big as the NCAA. And at one point in time, you had to win both. You had to win both conference. You had to win both championships to be the champion.
Bro, all I'm saying is right now I have more faith in the Fordham Rams than I do in St. John's.
Oh Jesus. Okay. All right.
I think I have more.
That's a major shot. Very disrespectful.
Very disrespectful. Very disrespectful. I attended Baylor. You think I don't get? Bro,
that's very disrespectful. But I get it. You know, I get it. You're a Southerner now, Freezie. You know what I mean?
Bro,
the Northeast ain't for you anymore. We don't want, you're gonna have to check in before you come back here, yo. I'm
gonna have to.
You're gonna have to check in. You know, you're gonna have to give me a call. We're gonna have to call a couple of people and say, well, Freezie's coming back. When's the last time you've been back to the Northeast?
Ooh.
Wow.
3 years ago?
Did you say ooh? 3 years ago.
3 years ago, maybe?
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So
put in a call.
AD, what I'm saying is I'm not allowed to talk football, right? So I attended Baylor, right? I attended University of Louisiana. Matter of fact, me and Alfred Payton are the most famous alumni from a certain school.
Oh boy.
Me and Alfred Payton. Alfred Payton and myself attended the same school, right? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, I was at Baylor at a time where it was myself, Michael Johnson, and David Wesley. I don't know if y'all remember David Wesley or not, but we were all on Baylor's campus at around the same time, like 93, 92, 93, something like that. Right. And at the time, and so what happens is every time we talk college football, my homeboys tell me to be quiet. I can't say nothing football related in terms of college football because of Baylor. Right now, I root for the Gamecocks because I'm here. But it's like St. John's fans. St. John's fans, y'all gonna have to come to grips that the reign is over. St. John's is not relevant on the grand stage anymore.
That's fine.
Neither is Connecticut. Neither is Syracuse. Neither is Rutgers. Neither is Seton Hall.
Yeah, but it's not for the reasons that you mentioned.
It's just a lack of talent.
But the talent comes from division. The talent comes from the recruiting.
That's where the talent comes from.
Yeah.
The lack of recruiting, not because of the other
being
stuff.
Able to
attract somebody.
But you attract through vision. See what I'm saying? You attract through a coach that is going to present something to a ball player that's going to showcase his skills. See what I'm saying? A lot of these guys that are coming out of the AAU, and their affiliations, they only want to play a certain way.
Okay.
And they want to be able to maximize to be able to get their names called next June. Do you offer that? How much TV time am I getting?
AD, all I'm saying is where I live in South Carolina, the AAU team down here at one time had Zion and John Morant on the same AAU team.
Okay.
How come New York can't do that no more?
Like I said, it's where they're.
Bernard King is from Brooklyn.
Yeah, but it's where
he attended Tennessee
Yeah,
instead of St. John's.
but it's where they're prioritizing. And here's the thing with the city, okay? When you've lived in the city for long periods of time,
Right.
a lot of cats, they want to go out. You see what I'm saying? Like,
No, I don't know. I don't understand.
No, it was the same thing with Lou Alcindor.
Yeah.
St. John's recruited him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He had never left New York before, outside
never
of the local, trips before the AAU. Your high school goes play up and down, whatever. He had never lived. His father is a police officer, so he comes from a certain kind of regimented background.
Yep, discipline.
See what I mean? Certain kind of discipline. So going across the country means what? You can't watch me 3,000 miles away.
Right. At that time.
Right.
Yeah.
And even today, it still means it for college kids all across.
He played against Wilt Chamberlain as a 9th grader.
Yeah. Yeah.
The kid was so good as a 9th grader.
And he was already set. He was already 7. He's like 6'10", 6'11".
Wilt Chamberlain came to see him.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's it's the same thing for even for kids today. You go as far away as you can just to do what? To get away from your authoritative parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether you play basketball or not. And it can be good and it can be bad.
Except if you're Michael Jordan and you grow up in Wilmington, North Carolina, you go play for the University of North Carolina. Except if you're Len Bias, you know what I'm saying? You grow up in Maryland area, Baltimore area, you go play for University of Maryland.
But some people thrive where they are.
Yeah.
Same thing with Magic Johnson, right?
Yeah.
He went to Michigan State.
Same thing with Larry Bird.
Some people but you see, the difference is some people can thrive to be the big man in their fishbowl and in any fishbowl. See what I'm saying? If Magic Johnson had went to Miami, he'd have been the biggest man in Miami.
Okay.
If he had went to New York, he'd have been the biggest man in New York. Because that was just who he was. See what I'm saying? Some people need a bit more coddling because of their personality.
Right. Yeah.
Kareem, using Kareem for instance, Kareem is a natural introvert.
Right.
He's a thinker. He's
an introvert that is sometimes an extra. Like the thing about Kareem is Kareem writes books. Kareem stays on the New York Times bestseller list. Right.
But you have to engage him.
Right. Right. And Kareem wasn't no punk either. Kareem would punch you in your face.
Yeah. Ask Larry Bird.
Ask I forget the dude.
Benson.
I saw it. Yeah, dude, 54. Yeah,
Benson.
When he elbowed Kareem in the gut
with Detroit.
Yeah, and Kareem stepped around him and was like, "Did you just?" And the dude said something along the lines like, "Shut up, young player." And Kareem bip, and the dude was like, "Oh." But Paris Tucker, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Tucker says Lynn punked out on us in the playoffs. Boston and Indy.
He never got to the playoffs.
No, he didn't. But he wasn't on the roster. He was hurt.
He was hurt. He's on the roster, but he wasn't on the active roster.
Right. What I'm saying is I agree with all of that, right? But I'm saying there was a reason why he did, is what I'm getting at. It wasn't just that he was, yeah.
But for us, that's trying to win a championship, especially with Melo, who's 26, 27 years old.
Right.
That doesn't work, Freezie. It doesn't work because look at this, right? We talk about getting paid, right?
Okay.
The Knicks trade Shumpert and J.R. Smith to Cleveland. Right?
For Lance Thomas.
Whoever. Doesn't matter.
Lance Thomas.
They come in, they play their roles. LeBron gets them paid.
Yep.
They're walking around with no shirts for like a year.
And Obama tells J.L. Smith, like, "Hey, sir, it's okay to put a shirt on. The president of the United States has to tell
And did he
Dale
listen?
Smith.
He is so dizzy off of winning a championship and the new contract that they both got.
Right.
Why? Because they just fell in line with LeBron.
Right. Okay.
You see, that's the difference, when you shoot out a zenith like that, all of a sudden, Cats is telling you better than Melo. It's your team. You're not better than Carmelo Anthony, Jeremy Lin.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
But the team played better with Jeremy Lin.
In a short span.
When Melo came back, they lost 6 out of 7. As soon as Melo came back, they lost 6 out of 7.
Yeah, but Melo drags them to the playoffs without Lin. So which period is more important? Lin's beginning period of Linsanity, or Melo's period of losing 6 in a row, or Melo's period of rebounding and dragging them to the playoffs?
I understand where you're going, man, but just I've been a Knicks fan for a long time, bro.
Look,
when every time you say drag to the playoffs, all I think about is Bernard King. See,
Bernard, same thing.
But
same thing.
Oh no!
It was the same thing.
No!
It was the same thing. Look at Melo's first season. Look at the team that's in the playoffs. Look at his.
Oh my!
Amari Stoudemire did not play until the playoffs. Melo dragged a leaky car. It was the same thing.
No.
Hold on.
No.
Tyson Chandler. God. Hold on, Freezie. Hold on, Freezie. Tyson Chandler is not on that first playoff team with Melo. Remember that. Tyson Chandler is not on that first playoff team with Melo.
I'm not buying this one, bro. What Bernard King did was a miracle. What Carmelo Anthony did was score.
So Bernard didn't just score.
Bernard King worked a miracle, bro.
He did.
Their
rosters were comparable. That first season, like I said, Tyson Chandler is not on that first playoff Melo season.
Right. Rory Sparrow, Trent Tucker, Darryl Walker, Ken the Animal Bannister, and Bernard King. Bill Cartwright.
Don't forget your favorite. Bill Cartwright.
Cartwright.
Truck Robinson.
Yep.
Robinson.
Right. Louis Orr,
God rest the dead.
Yep.
Once a Knick, always a Knick. Marvin the Racer Webster, God rest the dead.
Tiny Herringbone. Every time I see him, I think about Tiny Herringbone.
All of these guys that, once a Knick.
You saying that roster was comparable to Tyson Chandler?
Tyson Chandler less. Tyson Chandler was not on that first team. He's not on that first Melo playoff run.
I can't do this one, bro. I can't go. This is a bridge too far for me. What
Bernard King
did.
Pull up Melo's first year.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it.
Okay, give me the names.
Okay, let me hold on.
Give us the names. Let's go over as a fan base. Give us the names.
Let me go back to it. Hold on.
Oh my God, I got to get some Pepto-Bismol because I know I'm gonna stop.
I can't believe
I'm gonna stop barfing.
I can't believe what you're saying to me.
His second best player on that team is Landry Fields.
Marcus Camby, Tyson Chandler.
They're not on that first team.
Which year you
I'm talking about the first year Melo gets here, which is 2011, I think. The 2011 Melo or 2012 Melo. Yeah.
The Knicks were already good.
No, they were not.
Yes, they were. They had beat the Bulls twice.
They were not.
They beat the Bulls twice.
Remember,
hold
on, Freezie.
Yes,
hold on, Freezie. Hold on. Remember, the Melo trade was during in season. So
February.
Right. So he plays about 28 games with the Knicks, 28 to 30 games, something like that.
Right.
At the very end, like the last, I think 15 to 20 games, Amari's hurt. And his second best player is Landry Fields. He drags that team to the playoffs. As my grandmother used to say, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you.
Right. Okay.
I'm talking about the first season. I'm talking about his first season.
Wait.
Right?
So Chauncey Billups came over in the Melo trade, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure you understand that Chauncey
Yes.
Billups, just by being in the trade alone, was the second best player on that team.
Okay, but I'm talking about the consistency. I'm talking about consistency day in, day out.
Okay.
And I'm not knocking Chauncey, but Chauncey by that time was an elder statesman.
Okay.
Okay. Who first round against Boston, knee blows out.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about day in, day out, the guys who he played with the most.
Right. The Ronnie Turioffs.
Right. Like that 30 game stretch, I think he played with Landry Fields might have been the most he played with.
Okay.
I'm just talking about that first season. That first season, he drags them to the playoffs. I think they won the last 6 out of 7 to make it in. Something like that. It was some crazy, because he goes on a tear. He absolutely goes on a tear in March. That's all I'm saying.
On a scoring tear, right?
He goes on an offensive tear.
Okay.
Okay? He does what he does, which is a full level scorer. You want a 3, you want to step back, you want to post, you want a mid pitch, whatever you want, Carmelo Anthony in his prime could give it to you.
Okay. AD, you're misremembering, bro.
Okay.
And so here's how. So I'm looking at that season that you're saying, the early 2011.
Right.
Early in 2011, after Melo gets here.
Right.
And in March, this is how March starts off, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is with Melo in March.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry. This is Melo from, where is it? Let me find it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss.
Like I said, he wins like the last 9 games there or 10 games, they're 7-3. Okay. That's how they get to the playoffs.
Right.
And look at his numbers.
And Paris Douglas says Chauncey got hurt way before the playoffs in Orlando.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes, he initially injured it in Orlando. Yes, Paris, you're correct.
And he finally gave way.
But he blew it out in the first round.
Yep. And if you remember, Chauncey was when he came over, he was not 100% when he came over in the trade, right? Had been nursing injuries all year. It's one of the reasons why, in my opinion, they were willing to part with him. Because remember now, this dude had already won an NBA championship in another city, right? He was from Denver, right? Wanted to finish his career there. But he was a shell of himself in that year that we got him.
And it was a money thing. The money's matched.
Right.
See what I'm saying? Or we think about that Carmelo. Look back at that Carmelo Anthony trade and the guys that were in it that Knicks fans have been so up in arms about all these years. Today, you would make that trade without even blinking an eye. Right? Look at that trade. Right? Wilson Chandler, Danilo Gallinari, Raymond Felton, Timothy Mozgov, a 2014 first round pick, and a couple of second round picks for Anthony Carter, Berger, Sheldon Williams, triple burger, Ronaldo Bachman, who we already had, a burger without cheese.
Yep.
Chauncey Billups, a future Hall of Famer, and a surefire Hall of Famer. Carmelo Anthony. These were the names at that time. I think the Knicks record at that time might have been like a couple of games over 500.
We were overachieving.
They were overachieving. They're playing well, and it was almost a riot. Knicks fans were absolutely in revolt for Wilson Chandler and Danilo Gallinari and Raymond Felton, right, who was playing well, who we eventually got back a year later.
Yeah.
Right? Look at this deal that we were in a revolt for, that so-called knowledgeable Knicks fans did not want to make this trade for a sure ballot first-tier Hall of Famer who was 25, going to be 26 years old. Does it sound familiar?
And AD, and the thing is Dolan was like, that's what they want. Pull the trigger.
He had to step in.
And
he had to step in.
And Katz tell a story now that Dolan was meddling, right? And so first of all, owners approve trades, not team presidents and general managers. And
at some point in time, it has to go across the owner's desk.
Only the owner has a power to accept a trade or not.
Absolutely.
So for those that say Dolan meddles and blah blah blah, no, you got to kind of understand how the process works
because it's because the players are commodity.
Right. And secondly, and more importantly, the Knicks were winning, but D'Antoni was winning with smoke and mirrors. They never had a consistent number one guy each night that could bring the team. They were winning Mighty Ducks style.
That's his offensive system. I used to call it the cluck, chuck, and duck.
Yeah. And so
it gets you paid.
Yes. It gets guys to stay in the league, like Leandro Barbosa's. Dudes like that wind up staying in the league. But ultimately what I'm getting at is the Melo thing. We remember it a certain way. We romanticize Melo because he hit huge shots and huge moments, right? But to the Bernard King thing, is all I remember is 100% energy from the time the whistle went up. So the ball went up in there. From the time the game started, Bernard King was 100% energy, full goal all the time, trying to destroy his. And when Bernard wasn't, I know this is going to sound disrespectful, but when Bernard was right, when he wasn't hungover, so to speak, Bernard King could go for 50 in back-to-back games. I don't know when, and I hate for it to be like that, sound like that, but when Bernard King was right, Bernard King was the best player, or I'm sorry, the second or third best player in the NBA. When Melo was right, Melo might have been a top 7 player in the NBA.
Well, you could have said that Bernard for at least one season was, might have been
84. He wasn't better than Larry Bird, bro. I'm sorry.
I think he was better than Larry Bird. I think Bird just has a better team.
Okay.
Bird has a better team.
Okay.
Team.
Okay.
He's a much better team, and they're different players. But he's I don't want to go too much in a tangent. He's the first person that I saw in a basketball player that they do what they do in baseball, have a shift in defense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Him and Kareem, you do like a shift. It didn't make sense with Kareem because he's a giraffe. He could go.
Yeah, he shot over the top of the defense anyway.
Right. But him, who's 6'6", 6'7", for the defense to totally shift with him, and you still couldn't do nothing with him. That's the first time I seen that.
And the
in a half court setting,
the dude blew out his knee hustling.
Yeah, he blows out his knee. He blows out his knee hustling and so forth. But to finish up this Melo thing here,
please,
because I hate going back to it. It just
Is Melo a top 10 Nick?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
He may not be 1 through 5, but he's like somewhere 5 through 10. Somewhere 5 through 10.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't put him 1 through 5, like I said, but he's somewhere 5 through 10.
I think I
He
might.
doesn't have his staple moment. He doesn't have his staple moment, and the 1 through 5 guys have a staple moment.
He doesn't have a Pat Ewing from 3 from the corner. See,
no.
These are the
his staple moment may be the Boston series when they were up 3-0, lose 2, come back. That's probably his staple moment.
A shot on Jason Terry.
Yeah, but Raymond. But at the time, if you remember, Freezie, that 54-win season, I've said it before and I'll say it again, that 54-win season deserved to play Miami in the conference finals. I'm not saying they would have beaten Miami, right? But they should have been, because they were the top 2 teams in the conference that year. They had won 17 straight games before they lost 2.
If you take out Melo and put in Bernard King, I think we beat the Heat.
Oh, okay. Whoa, that's... Yeah. Okay. That's Melo. I'm gonna say it's disrespectful to Melo for this particular reason. For this
he's not a winner. He's just a scorer.
I don't know. That's not fair. That's not fair, Freezie. That's not fair.
Bro,
because Melo has shown up in his entire career since high school. Syracuse doesn't win their championship without Melo. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not his fault that organizations win championships, Freezie, not individual players. Michael Jordan doesn't win those championships until they get Scottie Pippen, until Horace Grant arrives, until you see what I'm saying? You can be as great as you want individually. You're not gonna beat an individual great player is not going to beat a collection of talent. We saw that with Cleveland against
AD. That's not
Spurs.
Not fair though, because when they got Scottie and Horace, Michael Jordan won league MVP and was named All NBA defense.
Yeah, but their team just gets better.
I understand.
Right?
I understand.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is he took less shots in order to become better in other areas of his game.
Okay, that's great.
Would Melo do that? Would Melo take less shots to become better in other areas of his game?
I'm gonna say yes. You know why? Statistically, look at the years that his best years. His best years are with Andre Miller, Jason Kidd, Raymond Felton. Facts.
Okay. So you say with a point guard,
he had a director, right? When he had a director, and I'm gonna tell you a game in particular that I remember this game like yesterday. When they got Raymond Felton back that season, which is Melo's the 54-win season, right? They ran into the Spurs that year. And I remember Jason Kidd talking about this. Jason Kidd said before the game, they told Melo, the Spurs and Popovich are going to take you out of this game. So you're going to be like the decoy.
Yep.
Right? You're going to get some of yours, but you're not going to get your normal, right? Because they're going to take you out of the game to see how the rest of us respond.
Right.
Raymond Felton goes bananas.
I know. I remember.
Right? Raymond Felton is hitting threes from, good God. Raymond Felton.
Ray could play.
And in that game, it was 2 games that Ray went absolutely zenith in the Knicks uniform that I vividly remember. That San Antonio game and the game down in Miami.
Yep.
Where I think he hit like 8 threes or something like that. But that Spurs game in particularly, Raymond Felton goes, but I think he had like 27 and 12 or some ridiculous stat line for him.
Right.
Right? But Melo had, an un-Melo-like game because what? He was playing to what the orchestrator of that team, which at that time was Jason Kidd, had said to him, like, look, this is what we need to get done. Same thing with JR. Remember, JR didn't want to go off the bench that season. It took the vets to tell him, like, look, we need you coming off the bench.
Right.
Okay? It's how the message is delivered and who's delivering the message, Freezie, is what I'm saying to get the best out of a player. You said this yourself the other day. If Josh Hart is telling whatever, without no real accolades, are they going to listen to him? You said this, right? That they're not going to listen to Josh Hart. Like, who are you, Josh Hart? What have you done in the NBA, right? But Melo would do what? He would listen to a Jason Kidd.
Right.
A Raymond Felton.
Right. And so in context, Corey Lee said that they brought him in here to make RJ better.
Come again?
And yeah, Corey Lee said the Knicks brought Josh Hart in here to make RJ Barrett better.
Oh, from the other night. Well, Corey was all over the place there.
Yeah, and so I told him, like, basically Josh Hart has never been the type of player that RJ Barrett is, even with RJ Barrett's numbers being ridiculous. But Paris Sucker, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Sucker says, if Amari held up his end, Melo may have won one. I agree. I think the worst thing that happened was the Knicks tried to get too big in an era what basically the Amari thing should have never have happened. If Carmelo had came over here to play the 4, right, and we'd have went out and got a legit small forward, an athlete that can defend 2s, 3s, and 4s, and Tyson Chandler, I think that would have been all right. Or Amari played a 5, Melo played a 4, and you bring in a small forward and Chris Paul.
Well, I'm not going to say the Amari thing shouldn't have happened, right? Because if you remember the Garden at that time, and we haven't, put enough time on Amari and his time with the Knicks. For me, okay. When I talk about Amari, I speak with a certain bitterness, with a certain venom.
Right.
And sometimes it's unfair, right? Because Amari was willing to do something that so many guys punk out, don't want. He wanted the bright lights. He came here. You know what I mean? He did take that check. No, Freezie, he did take that check. He did at a time when the Garden, when we were being used by guys, and guys were playing spin the bottle on our home court, right? Amari came here.
But this thing is gonna sound, not you per se, but this narrative sounds hypocritical. Let me guess. A young power forward from another team wants to come here and take the Knicks to a championship, right? A young power forward from another team wants to come to New York and take the Knicks to a championship. And for some of those power forwards, if you smile, the Knicks like you. If you don't smile, they hate you, right? Regardless of what your production is, because many have tried, right? Quincy Acey, a young cast-off power forward. Derek Williams, a young lottery pick, talented power forward, right? Michael Beasley, Henry Ellenson. Noah Vonleh? Should I continue down this road?
Mayo, mustard, ketchup.
Yes, basically, yeah.
Saison.
Yeah. Basically. Now I like the Amari signing at the time. I ain't gonna lie to you, and I still like Amari Stoudemire as a player. I like Amari as a person, right? I think Amari is a good dude, right? I liked his time here in New York. Did it end how we wanted it to? No. But
it was all about if Jeremy Lin had 7 games, Amari had 9.
Yeah. He had like 30. He had
But
like 30. Yeah,
he had a miraculous 9 because if you remember, I think he broke the consecutive 30 point game streak.
right.
Right.
Yep.
I think he had like 9 in a row or
Yep.
8 in a row or
Him
something to
and
that
he
effect.
and Ray Felton. He and Ray Felton
Had a
balling.
good thing together. Right. They
Yep.
were balling.
Yep.
Him,
Yep.
Felton, Gallinari was showing
Yep.
a little something off of coming
Yep.
off the back. Wilson Chandler was having a good, but once the rumors were swirling that Carmelo
Melo
wanted out, and because remember, it wasn't like Carmelo got traded 1, 2, 3. This was
No.
swirling for like 8 or 9 months.
Yes.
Yeah,
This was supposed to happen in the summer.
Yeah,
and then it goes into the season.
It just kept
and
lingering.
Every day it's on the news. What's the Carmelo trade update?
Yeah.
It look like we think it's going to happen at Christmas. It don't.
And
that January was
And while this is going on, Jersey is formulating a plan.
Yep. Getting 8 ducks in a row.
And we don't know that Jersey is in this. All this time, we thinking it's just the Knicks because we're hearing the Knicks. He's about to get married to Lala.
Yep.
She prefers to be in New York. Blah, 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 blah. Until All-Star Week that year.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden, we hear he meets with the Knicks. And not only does he meet with the Knicks, he meets with Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So effectively, the geriatric one gets fired.
Basically.
Because he doesn't want to pull the trigger.
AD, when you look back at the particulars of this trade, can you blame Dolan for being impatient with Donnie Walsh?
Oh my God. I would have tipped over his wheelchair.
What
the hell are we talking about?
When you look at the names that we gave, because over the years, what happens is people are like, man, Denver robbed us. How did Denver rob us when we got 2 Hall of Famers and they got Mozgov?
And they got Mozgov and Wilson Chandler, who had several injuries up in Denver. Yes. And Danilo Gallinari, who had several injuries up in Denver.
Yes. What are we even talking about?
What are we talking about? The best that they can say, I think that number 1 pick became
Doug McDermott.
No, I think that number 1 pick became what's the name?
No, it's Doug McDermott.
Is it McDermott? I thought it was Murray.
We researched it. It's Doug McDermott.
It's Doug McDermott. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We lost out on Doug McDermott.
And the irony is when we traded Melo to OKC, guess who we get back in the trade?
Doug McDermott.
Dougie's
still in the league.
yeah. So we get Doug McDermott back in the trade. You know what I'm saying?
It's ridiculous.
We get Doug McDermott and Enes Kanter.
So hopefully we can finally put the capper on the Carmelo Anthony and Jeremy Lin saga, which we have invested well over an hour. Over an hour. But you know what, Freezie, to be honest with you, we never really dug into the Jeremy Lin thing. And we
we have not. And the reason why Linsanity is hit a fever pitch is because over the years we had been having point guards come up and have like 4 or 5 games of high level play, and we thought we found someone, and then the pixie dust would wear off, like Torrey Murray. What for those that don't remember the man, bro, I legit, no lie, thought Torrey Murray was going to be the point guard of the Knicks for the next 10 years. Bro, he hit Gilbert Arenas.
You probably thought Langston Galloway was going to be the shooting guard for the next.
No, not Galloway, but I don't know. I don't know if you remember this. We had a guard named Tony Douglas, right?
Well,
Tony Douglas had like a 3-game stretch where he was like, "Oh my God, we found something." I tell you who else, just real quick. The Knicks had a older rookie named Mandigans Kuzminskis.
Oh my god.
Kuzminskis,
Oh
right? And they were like, he can shoot, but he can't play D. And
Kuzminskis. I remember
y-
Kuzminskis.
y- and I think it was he and a dude named Alexei Shved, right?
Shred, right,
They had
right, right.
they had a moment, right? And we also had a dude
Very
named
brief. Very brief.
we had a front court of Kuzminskis, Kristaps Porzingis, and Billy Hernan Gomez.
That's the last time we paid attention to international players.
Yes, and
Kuzminskis could play. Actually, Kuzminskis could play.
yes,
Kuzminskis could play. He could do a little. He could do a little of everything. Kuzminskis could play. That's the last time we really paid attention to the international game.
To the Euro. Yeah. Because that dude, I remember the ball. I remember no lie. I remember Willie Hernan Gomez back then when he was a Knick. His name was Guillermo Hernan Gomez. Right.
Who's now
I remember
a movie star.
He got a rebound over Porzingis, right? Yelled, and he kicked it out to Kuzminskis, or whatever his name is. He kicked it out to him, and both KP and Hernan Gomez started trotting back down court once they kicked it out to the dude in the corner because they had total faith that this dude was money, and that dude nailed that three. And I was like, and then in that moment, I was like, okay, if we keep these guys together, something might happen. But our backcourt was terrible because we had dudes named Ron Baker.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing with the Euro players in particular, right? The coaches and scouts, they fall in love with them because of they make the basic things look simple, right? Yeah. The basic pick and roll and move and pass and so forth and so forth. But when you watch the Euro League, and I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched any of the Euro League this year. So I'm not up on the Euro League, but in the past I've watched Euro League games and so forth. Euro League basketball doesn't really depend upon a superstar.
No.
See what I'm saying? They don't. So everyone kind of, it's like an assembly line type of thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's not strange to see a guy with 6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and they're saying he's the next. They're going to draft him in the top. Because if you look at Frank's numbers coming out of France, what was he averaging? Like 7?
7?
6?
No, like 6, 2, and 2, something like that.
Yeah, it was really small, but they were just looking at him as far as his athletic ability, his body type.
Right.
And he plays in a passing system because that's the Euro type of game.
Right.
Okay. So to come here and depend on Frank to do more than they ever did over there, it's counterproductive. He's not that kind of ball player. But that's the Euro game for the most part. Like, I remember when they were talking about Luka, I literally went and looked this dude up. All right? I looked him up, and I'm like, well, he's not the fastest dude.
Right.
But he does everything else. You see what I'm saying? Like, and I remember I kept saying at that time, I was like, yo, if he doesn't watch it, he's like a hamburger way of eating himself out of the league.
Yeah.
He needed to take his athletic ability and his conditioning.
My man told me he was a top shelf Boris Diaw, right? And I was like, a top shelf Boris Diaw? Why would he be considered for the number 1 pick? If you comparing him to Boris Diaw, right? And think about Boris Diaw at the time for Phoenix. At the time.
People loved Boris Diaw around the league at one point. Boris Diaw was a major force. People loved Boris Diaw.
If you wanted to win, you had to have Boris Diaw.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because he could take over point guard play. I mean, not play point guard now. What I'm saying is he could do it.
He could handle.
He could do it
run offense through him.
Yeah, in a Jokic type of way, kind of.
Yes.
From small
a lesser way. Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm like, yo, he's a top shelf Boris Diaw, and y'all talking about taking him in the top 10? Really? And so I looked him up, and I was like, "Yo, this dude ain't even in shape."
Right, but he could play.
But the dude could play, bro.
He could play.
You can't judge a book by
Sometimes
its
you
cover,
can't.
bro.
Sometimes you and I knew at the Knicks, they were nowhere near to get him, right? But in that draft, I kept saying, you need to look at Trae Young.
Yeah.
In that draft, I remember thinking the Knicks really needed to make a move to Trae Young. Yeah. And they sat there and, we know what happened. They drafted Knox and so forth and so forth. But, but it is what it is. But sometimes with players, Freezie, it's, again, it's the fit, and are you going to take a chance on getting a player that, no one else can see the fit?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Like someone took a chance on Joker.
Yes.
He's not fast. He doesn't jump.
Yeah. The irony is Phil Jackson is pulling the trigger, right? Phil Jackson is pulling the trigger. And instead of taking Jokic, right, he takes Cleanthony early. But Phil Jackson was like, yo, you need these type of players. And when Phil Jackson had the opportunity to draft that type of player, he drafted Cleanthony early.
I'm thinking it's because he had KP.
I'm thinking it's because Phil Jackson was asleep.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Because here's one of the truths. The moment he got KP, 6 months later, he doesn't want to be in the KP business anymore.
Right. And I pulled up an article. I don't know if you saw it. But the Boston Celtics offered 2 first-round picks and Jason Tatum for Kristaps Porzingis.
Yes.
And the Knicks turned it down.
And they made an offer.
I'm sorry. They offered 1 first-round pick and Jason Tatum, and Phoenix offered 2 first-round picks.
Right.
And Devin Booker.
Which Booker and turned out to be marketing, and Dolan, which got word of it, turned it down, and then eventually he fires Phil.
Yeah, and you know who still works for the organization? Craig Robinson.
Who? The brother-in-law of?
Yeah, no, the brother of Michelle Obama. That's her brother. Yeah, he's still works
here. I thought.
Still, yeah.
What is he? The Rochester president or something like that?
He's a scout. You'd be amazed. I saw the Knicks leadership chart, and I saw his name. I was like, dog, he's still here?
I thought he was out with Phil. I thought he left with Phil.
And you know who is not a scout? Walt Perrin. Walt Perrin is an assistant general manager. He is not
assistant to who? To Perry?
To Perry.
So they didn't bring him here to be a part of their chief scouts? They brought him to assist Perry?
To assist Perry. And so he is assistant general manager, and Allen Houston is an assistant to the general manager.
No, we're not going to go down this Allen Houston road again.
No. I don't want to talk about Allen Houston. I'm just saying that there are varying degrees to which dudes have a say. Basically, what I was going to get, maybe we could talk about this on another show.
Oh my God.
But maybe there are too many chefs in the kitchen.
Do you think? Do you think?
I don't know.
That man spent, and I'm glad we've come full circle now, because I mentioned this in another show, and you got so mad at me. Like, I'm going to repeat it. There's a new power at MSG. Okay. We came from the days of the Porzingises, little brother, big brother, wheel and power. But today there's a new power at MSG, and it's known as the melodrama, or no drama, called the Brunsons. Okay? And I'm here to tell you, Freezie, the Brunsons are the new family here at MSG. And you can tell by the Josh Hart trade, and watch what's going to happen in the future. They're building around Brunson.
Bim.
Okay, and if Rick Brunson is not his father, he's not here. I'm here to
Yeah.
tell Knicks fans that.
Okay.
This is not William Wesley. Okay, this is all because that Rick Brunson met Jalen's mama some 20-something years ago, had Jalen. The Knicks were smart enough to hire Rick Brunson, and Rick says, "Look, my son is coming,
Right.
and this is the new power."
That's the old school high school recruiting. You know what I'm saying? If St. John's want my son to come play basketball, they hire me.
It was so ridiculed when they
Yep.
hired Rick Brunson,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And at the time, you heard, "Oh, how could you do this? You would stoop to that level." The problem is they didn't do enough of that.
Okay.
They didn't do more of that.
My issue with you was not that your point was a bad point.
So
It
bad.
it was just the environment that you introduced it in was whack. Everybody was talking all over
AD,
each
how could
other.
you say that?
Everybody talking all over each other. Dudes trying to change the subject, and I was like, "No, AD, this is not." You know what I'm saying? Dudes is like, "Yeah, but RJ can't shoot," and I'm like, "But my man ain't even talking about RJ." But Randall shouldn't be an all-star, and I'm like, "Man."
We're talking about the new power at MSG,
And everybody talking all over each other.
and everybody talking all over each other. But to the point, and I'm gonna give management some kudos because I don't think they realized how good he was, but it's on their ledger. They pulled it.
Right.
They got him here.
Right.
And he's been absolutely. I saw some fans. One fan said he was a chucker. This and that. I'm like, dude, why are you watching basketball? You've been waiting for a guy like this to be forceful, to know what he's doing, to lead your offense for forever.
We like to call it being assertive.
Okay, you've been waiting for this guy forever, and now that you have him, you're finding flaws in his game because what?
Yep.
He takes a couple of shots that he shouldn't have took. Fine. Have you ever heard of a heat check?
Yeah. And you know what? We do that as Knicks fans, bro. We find a reason to complain about everything. That's why, AD. Real quick before we get out of here, right? There was a stretch, like a 48-hour stretch, where I legit talked to 17 or 18 Knicks fans, bro. Hardcore. And they called me and complained about everything. And I'm talking about 17 or 18 different people. Not different conversations, people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Complaining about everything Knicks related. And then ultimately, when you ask them what they want, they can't explain, they can't verbalize what it is that they want. But they complain. And so ultimately, what I asked, I was like, yo, bro, first of all, you got one all-star playing at an all-star level, and they complain, Randall ain't playing at an all-star level. If he wasn't, he wouldn't be an all-star. Crazy.
Randall's playing. I'm not the biggest Julius Randle fan, but he's not playing like a what?
How do
he's
you
averaging 25 and 12?
Right. And so they say he's not playing at an all-star level, even though NBA coaches selected him to be an all-star, right? And then when I bring up Brunson, I'm like, yeah, Brunson's playing at an all-star level. That don't count. He ain't an all-star. Okay. Right? All right.
That's no fault of his own.
Right. And so that conversation morphs to RJ Barrett sucks and we need to trade RJ Barrett. And so when I ask, what does RJ Barrett sucking have to do with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle? They can't connect the dots. They have something to complain about.
Because everybody should be perfect. And I want to say this to Knicks fans, and not just Knicks fans, but basketball fans in general. Okay. And I think we lose this in our analysis when we're looking at our favorite teams and players. Okay.
Right.
Wait for it. The other team gets paid too.
Oh, really?
The other team's
See.
players are not just here to watch you run up and down the floor and
Right.
shine.
Right. I duly noted, agreed 100% with you, brother. I'm 100% with you.
We never take that into account. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Like when we're
Hey,
mind you,
AD, do other front offices get paid also?
the other front offices, hey, they get paid too. They're not here to watch the Knicks celebrate a championship.
Right. That's one of the things, like on those calls, didn't mean to cut you off there.
Mhm.
But that's one of the things on those calls that I was getting, like 20 Knicks fans complaining that the Knicks won't go out and make a move. And I'm like, but what about the other front offices? Well, you just gotta talk the right talk. No, man, the other front offices want to win too.
What are you doing to better your position?
Right.
See what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing to make sure you're gonna get what you? I'm a Jet fan, which you know, Knicks fans though, right?
Oh boy.
And a quick, Joe Namath was talking about how the owner at the time, which was Sonny Werblin, how they
You remember
attracted
him?
How they attracted him. And Sonny Werblin is before my time, right?
He was Hollywood. You know, he was a Hollywood entertainment lawyer.
Okay, hold that point right there. He says, Namath said he goes out to dinner with Sonny Werblin and his wife, and they take him out to like 21 or the Copa or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? You know, Namath is like 19, 20 years old. He had never seen nothing like this. Most grown men had never been to the Copa.
Right.
21, places like that, right? But you got to be who you got to be to get inside, okay?
Yeah.
And he says he's sitting down, and Sonny's wife says things. I'm like, God, everything is so like Hollywood and whatever. He said Sonny's wife turned to him and said to him, says, Joe, everything is Broadway. Everything is Hollywood.
Right.
And he said from that moment on, Sonny then buys the rest of the team from whoever else.
Right.
And whoever he was thinking about signing with, Sonny doubled the money.
Right.
Because to him, who Joe didn't realize that he was about to be Broadway.
Right.
Okay. But someone saw it in him that he's Broadway.
And mind you, there were two football leagues competing at the time. The
Absolutely.
AFL,
right. and
the NFL. Yes. So Sonny was basically spending more money on Jets players than the NFL could afford to pay at the time.
Just to get them.
Yep. And mind you, this is the same ownership group that changed the name of the New York Titans to the New York Jets because of the jet-setting scene in Hollywood and Broadway at the time.
And he was that. And Sonny and his wife had a vision like, look, we're going to mix sports and entertainment.
Yes.
So Joe being on the sideline in a full-length mink fur, for them,
nothing.
Why not?
Yeah.
Joe coming out here in white shoes.
Yes.
Nobody wore white shoes before Joe.
Because it wasn't practical. Because you stomping around in mud, why would you have on white shoes?
But you seem like, you know what I mean? Like you above the team, like you trying to be a star. Who is he? They think you're gonna come out here because the thing is, and if you ever met this type of a woman, or have this depiction of woman that I used to say to certain women that I would meet, I said, no, you're the kind of woman that can wear white all day and not get dirty. Right? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's the way how you move.
Yeah.
You know, and the people that's in your circle.
Yep.
So Joe going out there and putting on white shoes, he gives another story. He says he put on whatever, but Joe, you know, you were who you were at that time, and white shoes make sense.
Bro, we got to start a Jets channel, bro, so we can tell these stories, bro.
We can't do that. You know why? You are not a Jet fan.
Bro, I'm not a Jets fan. but the thing about this though is I know Jets history. I know Emerson Boozer. I love Emerson Boozer, bro.
It parallels with
I
the
remember
Knicks.
John Riggins as a Jet.
It parallels with the Knicks.
Right. I know
Remember, Mets,
Freeman
Jicks,
McNeil, Al
Nets.
Toon.
The
Yeah.
only team to win the Triple Crown. Well, I'm not sure if anybody else has won the Triple Crown since then, but I know that New York was the first to win the Triple Crown. You know, football,
1969.
baseball, basketball, 1969.
Yes, I was an infant, bro. I was an infant.
You know, we haven't had it that good since. I mean, we've had moments, but not to that level. You see what I'm saying? When, you know, as a fan, can you imagine you're a Met, Jet, Knicks fan?
Yo,
You're delirious.
right.
You're delirious for like a couple of years. You're delirious.
Yes. Yes. And not only did they win championships, but they were good. These were not flash in the pan teams.
The icon guys.
The Jets were good. The Mets were good.
Yeah.
And the Knicks were an all-time team.
You got icons. You got icons coming out of. People forget that Nolan Ryan played here in New York.
Jerry Koosman.
Jerry Koosman.
Tom Seaver. Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, the Knicks and
Bud Harrelson, Cleon
Jones, like, you know, Ron Swoboda. They had a lot of guys,
yeah,
you know, that they just came out of nowhere, and they were called the Amazins. Again, only in the tri-state area can you throw on a tagline, and all of a sudden, whew, it's forever.
Forever. That's the year you got to believe. That's the you got to believe year.
You got to believe.
You got to believe, because the Cubs had a 9-game lead in first place, and the Mets walked them down.
Yeah.
With Ron Swoboda's back, Tommy A.G. in center field.
But they were the Cubs, though.
But Fergie Jenkins, man, look, man.
Ferguson Jenkins. There's a name that we do not talk about. See, the channel that we probably need to do is some more baseball.
Yeah.
You know, and I implore anyone to, you know, look up Ferguson Jenkins numbers.
Yes.
Okay. Ferguson Jenkins, if memory serves me correct, I think he has 8 straight 20-game win seasons.
Yep.
And in those years, he probably had like 20 complete games each year.
Yep.
At least.
Right.
He plays with the Cubs in the 70s. The Cubs in the 70s, besides the Mets, are like the worst run franchise in baseball. But each year, they would trot out Ferguson Jenkins.
Yep. Now, mind you, this Cubs team, I was a baby, so you just bear with me. But this Cub team,
baby Freezie.
Yeah, man, you talking about Ernie Banks, Ron Santo, Billy Williams. The team was just stacked, right? And then you're talking about, at the same time, the Oakland A's just now moving from Philadelphia, trying to kind of get their, or the Athletics moving from Philadelphia.
From Philadelphia, right.
Trying to get their legs up under them. They're drafting. They're taking dudes like Reginald Martinez Jackson in the draft.
Oh, my God.
The Mets had the number 1 pick in that draft and didn't take Reggie Jackson.
No, they did not. No, they did not. I don't even remember who they took. But
they took a catcher who was supposed to be.
It was supposed to be
the next Johnny Bench.
You see, that's the thing, Freezie. Who's in charge of your drafting, Freezie? And it surprised me when you said that the cat from the Knicks wasn't a part of their drafting team and so forth, or a part of their scouting team. It's the most important thing in your franchise, as far as your foundation, the future, you know, and the pieces that you're going to use to make other moves down the line. When you can't see a Reginald Martinez Jackson, you can't see nobody. Okay, Reggie Jackson. If there was ever a player in life, a baseball player that was meant for the big moments, was Reginald Martinez Jackson.
Yes.
Just look at where, the A's as a team gets lost in time in baseball.
Yeah.
We forget that the A's had Vita Blue.
Yeah.
Right? Some of these all-time great guys, the A's beat the Big Red Machine in the 70s.
Yeah.
Right? The A's beat, whomever else. I think are they the first three-peats? No, they're not the first three-peats, but they were three-peat in the 70s.
Right.
Right? That's how good they were. He then goes to Baltimore for a short stint.
Right.
Then George Steinbrenner says, you know what? I got to have him.
Right.
I got to have him. But Freezie, we got to leave it there on Reginald Martinez. I didn't even know we were that far in it, sir.
Reginald Martinez
Sunday.
Jackson, bro.
Mr. October.
Bro, how do
Mr. October.
How do you not? I mean, the Mets had the number 1 pick in '68. Also, they took Tim Foley. I could see them. taking Tim Foley, bro. But come on, bro.
It's about who's running. Because remember, the Yankees they go through a spell where George Steinbrenner was just like, trade for this guy, trade for that guy, trade for Ken Phelps, trade for this guy, trade for this guy. It's not until they put his ass out of baseball, right, to where the Bob Watson and the Gene Stick Michaels are heading the franchise at that time and are putting in the pieces in place. Because, to be honest, if George was here during the early years of Jeter and Mariano and stuff like that, he would have traded him.
Yep.
He would have absolutely traded him because he was he was so impatient. He chased stars to the level that you should not.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I may be a star person and I believe in stars and a team, no matter the sport, right?
Right.
But not every star is a good star.
Danny Tartable. Danny Tartable looked
Giambi.
Yeah, I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro. If you just drew a player on a chalkboard, Danny Tartable looked like it. When Danny Tartable put on a Yankees jersey, bro, he looked like the greatest thing to ever happen.
And it was a knee-jerk reaction because they only signed him because the Mets signed Bonilla.
Yes. Danny Tartable looked like a Greek god in a Yankees uniform. But let me do this real quick. Before we get out of here. Paris Duggar, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Duggar says, you can't name 5 better Knicks better than Melo all time. AD, I think I can.
Oh, I can too.
I think I can, bro. Too. And I think it's easy.
I think 3 from the 70s. 3 from the 70s.
3 from the 70s.
Ewing. I'm taking Oakley. That's 5 right there.
I'm taking Bernard King.
That's 6 right there.
Yeah.
That's 6 right there. If you wanna toggle between him, like I said, Melo's not gonna be he's in my top 10. He's just not in my first top 5 because he doesn't have a signature moment.
Right.
But
and Knicks basketball started before the 70s. There were dudes names like Richie Guerin.
Richie Guerin is all over the Knicks.
All over the record book.
All over their record books.
Yeah. And for the losing that he did, he and Bernard King are probably more comparable than Bernard
Richie
King
Guerin
and Carmelo.
Is all over the Knicks record books. Yeah. There was a gentleman that Amari broke his record, like I mentioned earlier, as far as the 30 points, in a row. I can't remember his name. He's all over the Knicks record books too. Right. So Melo, I love Melo and all, but in the top 5, no.
I in the top 7, that's a conversation.
But he's definitely my top 10. He's definitely my top 10.
Definitely in the top
he's definitely
10.
my top 10. But
Easy.
and I could put him somewhere. Somewhere 6. I could put him somewhere 6 or 7 because, again, it's not easy to put a franchise on your back, Freezie.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
It's not easy. And
no.
And if you're talking about impact over points, who would I prefer, Earl the Pearl Monroe or Carmelo Anthony? See, because Earl the Pearl could do what Melo did easily outdo what Melo did in terms of scoring.
Right.
But he chose not to, for the mere fact that winning championships and winning games was more important than filling up buckets.
Yeah. Because remember, when he comes to the Knicks, I think they win in 70, right?
Yeah.
They get back in 71, 70, right? Or 70, 71
right.
to the Lakers. Or was it the 70-71 team? The 71-72 team, right?
70-71, they were hurt.
Right.
Everybody hurt 70-71.
Right. So they made the trade for 71-72, right? Which is the Lakers 33 straight
the greatest team ever.
Season, right?
Yep. The greatest team ever, yeah.
They make the trade then. Gail Goodrich destroys him in the finals.
Yep.
He says this.
Yeah.
Earl says this, that Gail Goodrich destroyed him in the finals.
But it was unexpected. It was unexpected because they thought Elgin Baylor, but Elgin Baylor by that time was a shell of himself.
Yeah, he's washed by that time. But, this is Earl the Pearl, right? Yeah. And they're not expecting that Gail Goodrich is going to destroy. And Gail Goodrich is a good 60s to early 70s ball player.
Really
right?
good.
And
really
he destroys Earl the Pearl.
Not an all-time great, but a really good player.
Right. Earl has to come. Earl, in like a random moment, the Knicks, the next year, are the Knicks, they beat Milwaukee, all this, that dirt on whatever, and beating everybody, whatever. Right. It doesn't start for Earl again until they get back to the finals.
Yep.
Until he has a chance to redeem himself against the team and against the player that outdid him. Because he said this, he felt like he had let the team down. It's not easy to get to the finals.
No,
let alone get back to the finals.
But Bill Russell and them knew that the Knicks were the team of the 70s. They knew that. When Russell and them won in 69, you remember Russell?
He takes a shot at us, though. He takes a shot. He said, yo, I would have gone at Willis. He takes a shot at us and Wilt at the same time. He's like, yo, Wilt let Willis off.
Yeah.
He said, Willis is hobbling around on that one leg and everybody's cheering or whatever. I would have gone at Willis. I would have taken the ball to him. I'd have dunked on him. I'd have went all over him.
Right. But what he doesn't realize is if that wasn't the Willis game, that was only a game and that was icing on a cake.
Right. But he's saying that I would have taken advantage of him because Willis being on the floor, it levitates everybody else. See what I'm saying?
Right.
When you hear Marv Albert's call and he goes, and here comes Willis.
And the
garden goes crazy, but the applause are late because the sound stuff is kind of off.
Yeah.
And you see Willis walking all straight and proud like he's a soldier in the army.
Yeah.
Got on the Knicks stuff, the all white warm up, and he walks through.
Yep. Yeah, and the thing about the Garden then and the Garden now is now they come from understands tunnels onto the floor in most arenas. They come from those things where
there's no drama.
Yeah. You can't touch the players.
You can't build that, and it's bad and it's good.
Yeah,
and it's bad because remember. Fans were doing the same shit back in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
Throwing stuff on the crowd, on the floor. Yeah. Like, guys think they got it bad now.
No.
In the 60s and 70s and 80s. What?
Bro.
They would hit you. They used to throw coins on the field, and it was a certain like give and take, a certain toughness that you had to have to play professional sports.
Right.
right?
Right.
And you
Yeah.
weren't going running off and crying for every little thing, you know. Oh, they yelled at my wife, they yelled at my mother, blah 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 blah.
And they're talking about that puppy syndrome. They puppy
Yeah,
whining. Yeah.
like there's a box seat somewhere they can go sit at, right? You
Right.
know that, right? You
Right.
chose to have them sit out here
In the
with people
stands.
in the stands with people who are drinking.
Yes.
With people who don't give a damn about your stats because your team is beating my team.
Right. Right. Willis is a very underrated Knick, bro. Willis is a very, very underrated Knick. And
10 years.
That's why when people ask who's the greatest center of all time in Knicks history,
it's Ewing.
It's Ewing, right? It's Ewing in a runaway. But in respect to Willis Reed,
it's not a runaway though.
Right. That's
not a runaway.
Because my man won league MVP.
My man won league MVP. What? League MVP, All-Star MVP. Did he win Finals MVP in the same year? Or was that? Or did Clyde get Finals MVP?
I think Clyde got Finals MVP.
Clyde might have got. Yeah, Clyde might have got Finals MVP.
Yeah.
But he had won. He had gotten. Willis is undersized. Willis is what, 6'9"?
Yeah.
Maybe 6'9".
Yeah. But him and Russell was probably about the same size, maybe.
Probably about the same size, but he's undersized. I mean, him trying to guard Ewing would be a tough day for him.
Yeah.
Would be a tough, not because or better yet, a bigger man. Him trying to guard Will is a tough day for everybody.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
That's why eventually they had to move him to power forward. Eventually, you know what I'm saying? Because guys were just getting too big.
As the league goes on, for me though, it's not necessarily the height, because I've never been enamored with the big like that, because I've spoken on these airwaves how many times when the big gets hurt, you got to go and take him out like a horse. You go shoot him.
Yeah.
Right? It's the fight in the big.
Right.
It's look at Miami starting center. He's undersized, but look at his game over the last 2, 3, 4 years. They've gone to a finals. His game keeps getting better.
That's who Willis Reed plays like, right? Or played like.
Or
like Bam Adebayo without a 3-point shot. Everything
without
else,
a 3-point shot. Yes.
Everything else that Bam Adebayo does, though, the ball handling for his era, he was a great ball handler. Not just dribbling is not your only ball handling. I'm talking about you know what I'm saying, pass fakes, pump fakes.
If you can be down and dirty. And when I say down and dirty, here's an example. In the playoffs, Shaq is killing the Bulls for 3 quarters.
Yep.
Right? Dennis Rodman in the 4th quarter says, "Let me guard him."
Right.
Dennis Rodman is 6'7", at his best, maybe 215.
Yep.
Shaq, back then, we're talking 310, 320. Okay.
Yeah, probably about 310. Yeah.
Stops him.
Yep.
Stops him.
Because he beat Shaq to Shaq's spot. And then made Shaq work to get his and that just wears the big man down over time.
Wears the big down. Because if you're playing against let's say you're playing against a big like that, okay? A big like that, like Shaq, 90% of the time, where's he going? He's running down to the middle of the floor.
And he's going to seal your big man, catch it.
He's going to seal your big man,
catch it, and dunk on Pat all game. I saw him do that.
Transition basketball is extremely important.
Yes.
Especially if you got a big that wants to run and get up and down the court.
Especially when the Knicks, who had a power forward who was big, but not a great low post defender against other bigs, right? Oakley was a great team defender. He could guard other power forwards, but Oakley was not the guy you want to give any center minutes to. None. You didn't want Oakley to guard Olajuwon on none.
Not consistently.
Nah, if it happens, you live with it because you
you're
got
gonna
to.
live with it, but you're not setting out.
But you're not game planning that.
No, it's the same thing. Like you're not game planning with Anthony Bonner guarding Shaq.
Right.
Because you know what's gonna happen.
Right. Whereas Houston could give Olajuwon a break and let Otis Thorpe guard Pat, because in theory they're probably around the same size. You know what I'm saying? Otis Thorpe maybe 6'11", about 245. You know what I'm saying? Olajuwon 7 foot 250, Pat 7'1", 250. In theory, all three are around the same size. So, but the thing about Oakley at 6'9", 240 is not guarding Olajuwon. Period.
No.
He's not guarding Robinson. He's definitely not guarding Shaq.
Well, he's definitely not guarding Shaq, but you could guard. I mean, it's a David Robinson. He's not physical. See what I'm saying? So I'm gonna throw Charles out on all day because he's not physical.
Yeah, but David Robinson might be the most athletic in his prime.
In his prime,
he might be the most
super athletic. But you know, he had to learn to be more physical.
Yeah.
He had to learn to be.
That was his thing. He was a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah,
you know, he's the admiral. You know, wearing them little sissy whites, as my dude said in what is that? God, it's one of my favorite movie, the Jack Nicholson. You gonna came down here with your
a few good men.
A few good men. You gonna came down here with your faggoty whites out here and not ask me for, you know what I mean, for like a common consideration or whatever. Oh my God. That was a classic. But Freezie, I gotta run, killer. Again.
Yo, hey,
it's been a pleasure.
We got to get out of here on the one, man. I can't leave until we hit.
Oh, we cannot. But let me say to Knicks fans, enjoy the second half of the season. You know what I mean? You know, hopefully good things will happen for the New York Knicks and so forth. And thank you again for taking this journey with myself and Uncle Freezie. I don't know where we started, but I know where we ended with you. And again, look for me and Uncle Freezie in the whirlwind.
We out of here. All right, y'all.